Hi guys. Today we are going to kind of do a little bit of a refresher from what we started with before everything. So if you remember back to, oh gosh, that whatever day it was before we were done and out of school, we had just started chapter 3, which was looking at quadratic functions and graphing those. So we're going to use lots of Desmos today. I know that's your favorite, but it's going to help you a lot. I'm going to try and simplify stuff as much as possible to make this as short as I can. And then I'll give you a textbook assignment at the end. You can find the textbook uploaded as a PDF on the Google Classroom. So just go there, try a couple of them. You don't got to do everything. And make sure you check in the back and then get back to me with how you're doing, if it's going good or if you need some extra help. Okay. So where I'm starting is looking at quadratic functions in two different forms. So we know one is called quadratic form, the vertex form, I guess, of that, so that we can see right here. Okay. And then the standard form, of course, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're able to use both of these forms in order to find out certain things about our quadratic. So let me just scroll. Oh, I don't want to write. Let me scroll. Let's see if it will let me do this. There. Ooh. Making you guys dizzy. Okay, so these first couple questions here, we can honestly just take the equation, put it in Desmos, and then you have to find all of these things right here, okay, from A to H. So if we're starting with this right here, f of x equals x squared, let's just go into Desmos, type that in there, and then we'll be able to find all of those things, okay? All right, so here's y equals x squared. We can see that our vertex is at 0, 0. Good. So you can go back here and simply we'll just write vertex equals 0, 0. Okay. What direction does this open? Clearly up. Max or minimum value. So if I look at this parabola here and it's opening up, the parabola is going to have a minimum value, okay, right at this location, simply because that is the lowest possible value, and then everything is going up from there. So we can say it will have a minimum. Oh, sorry. Okay. Axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry simply splits this parabola in half. So if I were to take my pen and try and split it in half, it always goes through right at that x value of your vertex. So my x value of my vertex is x equals 0. Okay, so that would be my axis of symmetry. X-intercepts are simply where it crosses the x-axis. So looking here, it crosses the x-axis only one time. It touches right at x equals 0. Okay. So x-intercept is x equals 0. Okay, y-intercept would be where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so if I'm looking at this graph again, where it crosses the y-axis is right at y equals 0 right there. Okay, so I can put y-intercept at y equals 0. Okay, forgive me. I'm using my finger on a touch screen. It's not that great. You guys don't need to worry about reflective points. Okay, we don't really touch on those at all ever again. But we do touch on domain and range, so I do need you guys to know how to do that. So domain here would simply be, does anybody remember what it is for a parabola? Domain is x such that x is an element of, that's next, all real numbers. Okay, so x such that x is an element of all real numbers. Our range does change, especially with parabolas. So for range, we need to look at the lowest or the highest y value. So right now, the lowest y value is y equals 0, and then it gets bigger from there. So that means y is going to be greater than or equal to 0. And then don't forget the YER. Okay. So that is all for that one question. Okay. That one that we did right here. Now you can do the exact same thing, excuse me, for all of these to follow. Okay. So there's a couple more there. All you got to do, type them in Desmos, find all that information. Okay. So what I actually want you guys to do for your homework today is these 3 questions. Okay. Do this one. Okay. Whoops. Do the next one and then do that one on the bottom. Okay. And all you got to do, use Desmos, whether you have that on your phone or maybe you have it on a laptop. Just use it to see if you can find all of those things. Okay. That will be beneficial for you. All right. Okay. So now, oh my goodness. There. Now I'm going to go over one question that is a word problem. We'll just do this first one and then we'll leave the last slide. So it says, a frog is sitting on a rock and it jumps into a pond. The height, which is h in centimeters of the frog above the surface of the water as a function of time in t seconds, is simply that quadratic right there. Okay, you need your answer to the nearest 10th. Well, the first part, A right there, says draw graph. Okay, draw graph. Well, just go into Desmos and simply write that there for yourself. Okay, so put that in Desmos. Once you do that, let me just clear all of this stuff here. Sorry, I know this takes a little bit longer. I'll maybe get quicker as we go. Okay, so inputting this into Desmos, I will put -490 t squared, or in this case, we'll just use x squared, plus 150 x plus 25. All right, so that is what we got. That looks nice. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit just so that we can see some of... Oh my goodness, bear with me. Maybe I'll use my fingers, that might work better. There. Okay. Nice. All right, so that is the graph that comes up when I put this question into Desmos. So we got our frog, it's sitting on a rock, and that's where it's jumping. So if we can kind of picture this scenario, picture right here, a little frog, okay? Little froggy sitting right there. Whoa. Right there, right at the start, okay? He jumps, he's going up, hits his highest peak, and then he obviously lands in the water right there, okay? At that x-intercept. So what we are going to do is see if we can find out some of this information. It says, what is the y-intercept and what does it mean? Well, the y-intercept here is where it crosses the y-axis. So if I were to find that, it would be at y equals 25. Okay, so let's just write that y equals 25. All right, so what that means is the frog is starting 25 meters above ground, so it might be on a little bit of a ledge. Okay, so that's our initial height of our frog. Okay, so I'll just write that in here, y equals 25 meters. What is the max height of the frog and when does this occur? So if we look back to the graph, we can see right at that vertex, okay, that the max height our frog reaches is, what was that point? 36 meters is the max height. Okay, so that's the max height, and the time, okay, the time it takes the frog to get there is 0.153 seconds, okay? In the question it said answer to the nearest tenth, so simply 0.2 seconds, okay? So you can write that, I guess, if you want, 0.2 seconds. What's S? Oh boy. Okay. It says, when does the frog hit the surface of the water? Okay, so like I said before, that frog's gonna jump up. Okay, it's gonna come down, and then it's gonna hit the water right at this spot right here. Okay, and at that time, it is 0.4 seconds. All right, 0.4 seconds. Domain and range, we're not going to worry about with this graph. You guys know how to calculate that. It also says, how high is the frog? 0.25 seconds after it jumps. Okay, so that's F right here. That's what I'm looking at. So we want to find what y is when x equals 0.25. So I could search that graph, or I could just simply put this in Desmos. X equals 0.25, okay? And then you're going to be able to see where it crosses, okay? So at 0.25 seconds, our height of our frog is going to be 31.875 meters, okay? So that's that. In regards to the question, hopefully you're able to interpret that graph. That's really important, that you're able to not only just graph and pick out certain things, but you got to interpret what's actually happening in the situation. Okay, so hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. So in regards to the assignment, okay, the assignment is going to be those 3 questions that I gave you. Okay, and then after those 3 questions, you can, if you want, this is optional, okay, you can look at this following assignment. Okay, I'm just going to write it out. It's just like always when I write out an assignment on the smartboard. So this right here is on page 174 and 175 of your textbook. Remember, that is a PDF on the Google Classroom that you can find, okay? Numbers 1 to 6 AC, and you can look at number 7 if you want, okay? So lots of people asking, do I need to submit this? What do I do? Right now, textbook assignment, don't need to submit it. If you're having problems with the question, feel free to let me know, okay? Either take a picture of it with your phone and send it to me as an image through an email, and I can work it out. I can video myself working it out and then send that just to whoever needed help, or whatever works, I guess, okay? So give those 3 questions on the slide a try, okay, in Desmos, and then feel free to try a couple of those questions there too, okay? All right, good luck.